right, y'all, welcome back. This is going to be a special video. We're going to be talking about Tennessee's lack of success in our passing game since 2022. What's the real cause of it? We've gone back and forth on this channel with several people on what the real cause of it is. Some people would say that it's the quarterback's lack of processing. Some people say it's a lack of tempo. Some people, like G. White, say that it's both. And G. White, man, he's been a long-time member of this channel. He's been rocking with us pretty much since we started. He was also on P's channel back in 2020, 2021. So long-time friend of what we do here, right? Definitely not picking on him. I just wanted to shout him out. But today, I'm going to show you why G did make some good points with, basically what he was saying is that, versus Alabama over these past 3 years since 2022, Tennessee had a lot of success passing the football in 2022, and it's dwindled off since then. So he's saying that he thinks that the quarterbacks have a lack of processing and also because we're not running as much tempo. So I'm going to show you why I disagree with that. Okay, I'm just going to be proving my own points right here. But as always, y'all, please do us a favor, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to start off with Coach Saban because this is where I think G has some good points at. I want for y'all to hear how his coverages work with split safeties. Okay, this is just a small glimpse, quick little clip, but I want for y'all to hear how many moving pieces there are to his coverage.
All right, now what I'm going to show you now is, you call it whatever you want. We have our own name for it, but it's good versus all those other patterns. All right, so now if this guy right here is running across the field, or he's running a lot of option routes, you can put the star on him, all right, and then the corner, the safety, and whoever this guy is, like stack on these two guys. All right, so what does stack mean? It means this guy has the first in, this guy has the first out, this guy has the second in and the second out with the leverage of the first release. All right, so we're on these two guys, right? If he does that, he's got him. I got this guy outside, I got him inside because the first release is outside. All right, let's just say they run this. All right, I got that. I'm inside, I'm outside because the first release was where? Inside. Makes sense? So you can play double in and double out when you play this way. All right, and you put this guy on this guy. So if he's running across the field, he can cover. When you play bingo, if that guy runs across and that guy doesn't stay one, stays one, you run out of guys. You can run out of guys anyway. All right, so that's the second way to play split safeties.
All right, so listening to that, y'all can see why running the tempo would be very, very beneficial versus those types of defenses. And defenses like that, I call that just playing straight up. So most college defenses, you have a lot of different moving pieces to what you're going to be doing based off of a million different things. That's how teams used to play us. And Saban's defense is really overly complicated. There's no need for it to be as complicated. And that was just like a little small snippet of it. It gets way deeper and way more complicated, but I will spare y'all. So moving forward, okay, 2023, even Saban, he's going to change up what he's doing some. And really in 2024, defenses rarely played us straight up. It was just, hey, we're going to play deep and force them to go underneath. So Tennessee runs option routes. Basically what that means is if the secondary comes up close to the line of scrimmage, then the routes will be vertical down the field. If they're playing off, then the routes will be something underneath, like something shorter, closer to the line of scrimmage, because that's the open spots. What you have to do versus offense that is pretty much simple, it just goes fast, is you just dumb down what you're doing on defense. You take all the complicated stuff out, make it really, really simple. So we're going to see Hendon Hooker in 2022. Just notice the difference in the pictures for all these quarterbacks. Number one, with Nick Saban's defenses, one of the staples is the cornerbacks will come up to the line of scrimmage. He will challenge you. Now, Kirby Smart tried to, bite off of Nick Saban's style, but he don't do it that way. Like, he don't really let his cornerbacks get challenged. They typically always play off coverage if it's going to be like a one-on-one situation. Saban he's not like that. So outside of the cornerbacks, you've got the nickel player and you've got those safeties. They're going to pretty much sit. So if they're supposed to be getting to a depth of like 12, 15 yards, that's where they're pretty much going to stand flat-footed at. So again, understanding all the different moving pieces of what they're reading, every time the Tennessee comes up to the line of scrimmage, everything that they have to understand. And then knowing that we've got guys that will run right past you with great speed, like Jalen Hyatt's about to do here, and they're just, asked to pretty much stand flat-footed, you can see how they get thrown off with the tempo. Look at the picture that Hendon Hooker has here. That's a layup. That's an easy 6 points. Okay, so it was like that for really, most of this game. And these are only going to be the best passing opportunities for all quarterbacks from 2022 to 2024. We're taking out the going into the half or finishing out a game because the coverage has changed totally. They're playing more prevent versus their real true defense. All right, so here cornerbacks playing up close to the line of scrimmage, outside leverage. Watch this picture on this dig. This is way too easy. Look at that. That's a just easy pitch and catch. That's super simple. Okay, so I'm not taking nothing away from Hendon Hooker or nothing like that. I also feel like the play calling was just better in 2021, 2022 with Coach Golish. Here, kind of like same thing, just wide open. You know what I mean? Just plenty of room for us to operate, and then wide receivers can make things happen after the play too, right? Like or after the catch, which is huge. Here, I mean, look at this. We're almost in a stack, which means that the wide receivers will be like stacked up on top of one another. But here, it's just very, very close. And they've got their secondary players almost right up on the line of scrimmage. It's just too easy. No one's even pressing that inside guy. I think that's Jalen Hyatt, double move. That's all day long. That's another layup. It's just super simple. Y'all will see, though, the pictures will change significantly for these quarterbacks. Same thing here. You know what I'm saying? Same thing here. So this is a stack. That's what a stack looks like. And I mean, they're just standing flat footed. We run right past them. All these passes, just very, 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 very well thrown balls. But there was plenty of room there. You know what I'm saying? Just plenty of room for Hendon to fit that football into. Right. So that was just a great game from really, I think, our entire team. Now, this is Alabama. Okay. Still Coach Saban in 2023. What you'll notice is all of their secondary players, they're now playing off. See how they're not up at the line of scrimmage? Now, they didn't do this on every single play because Coach Saban, he will challenge you some, but not nearly as much in 2023 as he did in 2022. Again, what does it mean if they come up to the line of scrimmage? It means that we can go deep and there's no real safety help over the top. And it's just easy pitch and catch down the field for 6 points. You put up a whole bunch of yards and all that good stuff. Now, if they play off, you have to dink and dunk. But this goes back to talking about play calling. One of the things that I will say is that Coach Heupel, since Coach Golish left, he does a brilliant job versus all of our rivals. So Alabama, Florida, Georgia. He's dialing things up. Beautiful job here. Everyone's playing off. But what we do is we get our slot, Squirrel White, maybe fastest wide receiver on the team, matched up one-on-one with a linebacker that has to carry him all the way up the field. Easy mismatch. And we talked about this leading up to this game. We said this is going to happen. Like we just knew it because Alabama puts their linebackers in the coverage down the field way too much. Just Saban can't get out of that, right? So this offense and offenses like this have been Saban's kryptonite. But you can see that that's still a very, very good window. Maybe not as great as what we saw with Hendon Hooker, but that's not really, it doesn't, I don't think, have too much to do with what they're doing on defense, honestly speaking. That was just more of where we were at on the field. So here, one-on-one coverage, now they are actually playing press, okay? So this is just showing you that they will still do it, okay? And, we were still able to operate with it. So going down the field, all right, obviously, that's plenty of room. And I think that this football's thrown in a good spot. This is what I wanted to do in 2025 more of. Just throw it up and let the playmaker make a play, maybe get some PI too. Now we're going back. I think this might be in the second half of this game. Understand, Tennessee was winning heading into halftime of this game. But here, you're seeing everyone's playing deep except for the linebacker that's playing underneath. Now watch how this picture looks. It's totally different from pretty much everything that we've seen up to this point. Boom. That's a window. That's a really small window. That's an NFL window. And that's why it's tough to be able to hit on those passes. It's really, there was nothing there, honestly speaking. So, it's kind of, I'm not going to say that it's a miracle, but it's great that one wasn't picked off. Same thing here. Everyone's playing off. You got the cornerback down at the bottom that's playing bump and run. Something else with Tennessee's offense, y'all. Okay, so we're running option routes most of the time. It's just half field reads. If it's a full field read, all that really means is we come up to the line of scrimmage and we figure out which half of the field we're going to operate on. So it's never really full field reads. But in 2025, we should see more true, full field reads, which now the processing would mean something. But I'm saying all that just to say that at the bottom, you got that one-on-one bump and run. Really, I would say that maybe you could have tried to throw this over the top, but instead we go to the top because they're playing off and we feel like, okay, well, we can do some underneath stuff here. So watch how this actually ends up looking. So we're stacked up top. So down the field, what you're seeing is everything's covered up. So now that little out route that we're going to end up throwing to, that's a pretty tight window, okay? Like you have to have good arm strength to be able to make that throw, and you have to be accurate. Like that's NFL talent to be able to operate now. Okay, so this is 2024. Totally different, coaching staff. It's a different system. This is way more simple. But this is how teams played us more in 2024, where they're playing off. You rarely ever see people come up to the line of scrimmage playing Tennessee's, wide receivers. If they come up, it's just because they're being the point man and they're trying to stop like a screen or something like that. It's not really about, hey, you're going to come up to this line of scrimmage and play like real down the field coverage. But this is what Alabama did. And I would say that Alabama, out of all teams last year, probably played us the most straight up, just with, actually going through their like normal ones and twos with their defense. But it was still a whole lot more of, we're not coming up. We're going to make you dink and dunk. But look at the window now. That's an NFL window. You have to be able to throw someone open, okay, in between coverage. This is the difference in what we were operating with last year. Okay, totally different pictures. All right. And, again, we're just showing y'all Alabama. We can show y'all different games. There was one team, I would say that LSU, they played us very similar to what teams in 2024 played us like. So I'm talking about LSU back in 2022. They played us very similar to what we saw in 2024, where everyone's pretty much playing deep. The difference there is that we had Alex Golesh calling way better plays. I don't think that the plays were different from a lack of processing, because I'm talking about more drags, more slants, more simple routes. That's like 8th grade routes. That's easy. So it's not like trying to throw the football down the field. Those are the more difficult routes. Either way, y'all can see everyone's playing off. And what you're going to notice with this one is the running back goes out to the flats. That makes the cornerback have to trigger. So this goes back to me talking about Coach Heupel doing a good job drawing things up. That's a really tight window, but because they're coming up on the running back going to the flats, we know that there can be a small window on the slant behind it. But look at how small that window is. Like, that is crazy. It's totally different. So this is why I keep on saying that Tennessee had to change things up with our scheme for us to be able to operate moving forward. Here you can see there's a cornerback down at the bottom. He's up close to the line of scrimmage, but that's not a true press. He's actually playing off like 3 or 4 yards. That's kind of like no man's land. But they won't come all the way up to the line like Bama did back in 2022 and, some in 2023 and really press you, really, really jam you. No one's doing that. All right. So everyone up top playing like way, way, way off. But you can see that this wide receiver on that seam right there, he could have been open. But like we said, man, it's half field reads. You look at one, like you look at both of the sides of the football field, whichever side you like. If it is a full field read, that's where you operate at, okay? You're not really like the other side. They're still running routes, but it's pretty much dead. You see that we have to make things happen because everything was covered up, right? So quarterback's got to get outside the pocket. Wide receiver tight end has to get into the scramble drill. This is how it looked most of the season, though, y'all, where everything's covered up because everyone's playing deep, So, like, they'll play deep, force you underneath, and you've got some guys that are sitting in the underneath windows. That's just, it's the kryptonite to our offense. It doesn't matter if we go faster. It's not going to change anything. Quarterbacks have to be able to make plays. You know what I mean? So why I feel so much more confident in 2025 is because I don't think our quarterbacks will have to make as many plays because of the scheme change. Something else here, right? So they're playing off coverage, but for us to still try to go deep, which we're still going to do, we're still going to try to get some deep shots. We have to sprint our quarterback out and we have to throw it up for freaking grabs to a guy that runs a 4.3 flat 40 on a laser at 6'5" to be able to hit on this. So it made things so complicated. We had to be so good for us to be able to hit on these shots. Now, it wasn't like that all the time. Okay, obviously, there were some times when the quarterback missed some wide open shots. He missed some layups, and then there were some times where we dropped some of those layups too. But for the most part, there was a lot more opportunities in 21 and 22 versus 2023 and 2024, right? So this is the last one here, okay? And obviously, Alabama, they're going to play a lot closer to the line of scrimmage because they've got the end zone back there. So, that's the 12 man. It's a tougher window. It's a smaller window if we're going vertical to fit the football into. They're still playing off, but they're not playing that far off, especially talking about those cornerbacks. That's not where the football is going here. It's going to that slot fade to Chris Brazzell, right? So this is just elite routes, okay? Again, it's very, very similar picture to what we saw in 2022, right? They're standing flat-footed and all that good stuff. So we can operate here. Now, that's a very small window. Like that, that's a dot. You got to drop that in there. Very, very small window, difficult catch, all that. So we could still do it. We just weren't really getting those looks. But whenever we got the looks, even in a situation like that where it's a lot more difficult, we were able to hit on it. So that's my whole point, y'all. I just wanted to show y'all that and let you know that it's really not because we're not running tempo. Because, again, just to go back over it. Tennessee runs option routes. All right. So if you play us regular, if you just play us straight up and you come up to the line of scrimmage, it's a lot easier for us to get over the top and for us to have just wide open pictures down the field, rack up yards, rack up touchdowns, all that. Versus if you're just playing deep and now we have to try to fit the football underneath into some tight windows. Us going faster is not going to change anything with what the defense is doing because they're not really necessarily reading what we're doing. They have one job. It's hey, we're going to stay deep. Nothing changes. You stay deep, most of y'all. Some of y'all, you know what your depth is, and you just kind of squeeze on some of these routes. So there's just a very small margin of error for us, right, in those types of situations. But that's why the passing game slowed down so much since 2022. I showed you with one team how it's changed. It's it's even more so with different teams. Okay, like it is even more so with. I could go to almost anybody. They're playing us totally different from what we saw in 2022. And also, just to give y'all some positive energy, finishing this thing out. I feel like in 2025, because we will run more bunch routes, or we will bunch up more, and we can run some routes more to the outside. There's 2, 3, 4-way goals for our wide receivers, and you can't sit on what we're doing like you could previously if we're spreading out wide and we want to go deep. Okay, we're just going to play deep and take away all the inside stuff and make you have to try to throw it to the outside over and over and over again. So now that we can do that, right, like I would say not necessarily go super slow, but slow things down where we have some pre-snap movement. We can get leverage on the defense. And, we can start off bunch, spread things out, come into a bunch. The running game is always going to be there. There's no way for any team to stop Tennessee's passing game and our running game. It doesn't matter if we're bunched up and go wide or none of that's even going to matter. So running game will be there. But I have a lot more confidence just because we understand that we can't operate off of what was really more of like a gimmick offense previously. We've got to grow up some and get some more route combinations and things like that to help our playmakers get the football early, get it out in space, and let them go to work. So that's more of what, most teams do. Tennessee's going to get to that. And I also feel like that's going to help players get drafted better. So it should just be a total win-win for us, but I feel great about 2025. G, this one was for you, dog. I hope that you liked it. I hope that y'all all liked it. If you did, please leave us a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace. Thanks for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel because that keeps us growing inside of the YouTube algorithm. And if you did like this video, here's another one that you might also enjoy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.